All right, guys, today we're going to check out the VHT Pitbull Ultra Lead, the OG version. Let's get started. Quick shout out to Motor City Guitar. Thank you so much for allowing me to take this amplifier home so I could do a video with it. And by the way, if you guys are looking for a great deal on an awesome piece of gear, there's an affiliate link below in the description. Just click on that. It helps you out because you get a great deal on a piece of gear, and it helps me out as well. Motor City Guitar ships all over the continental US. So this is my first time ever playing this amplifier. So you're going to watch me stumble through it and push buttons and turn knobs and try to figure out how to get a good tone out of it. I'm going to start with the clean channel. I'm going to get a good tone out of it and then add some effects and spice it up a little bit and see how good I can get it to sound. Then I'm going to move on to the rhythm channel and dial it in without the overdrive pedal engaged. And then once I get it dialed in, I'll slam it with the overdrive and see how it responds to that. And then lastly, I'll fire up the lead channel and dial that in with and without the overdrive pedal. Here we go. Okay, I got it sounding pretty good. It's a little unique on the clean channel. There's some interesting frequencies going on there. It's not as warm and chimey as what I'm used to, like on the Diesel Herbert. There's definitely something different going on there. But let's go ahead and engage the effects here. And I'll turn on some chorus and delay, and I'll monkey around with it a little bit more. When I used the shift button, it just made it sound real nasally, I guess, just kind of strange. So that didn't really work for me, so I'm going to keep the shift button off. I have the boost button on and the bright button on, and that seemed to kind of help it out a little bit. So let's dress it up with some effects and see if she's worthy of taking out to dinner. Just 1 second here. Okay, in the small amount of time that I have here with this amp, that's as good as I can get it. It's actually a decent clean channel. I think a compressor would really help this clean channel out a lot. It would soften it up a bit and yeah, I just think it would help it out quite a bit. I think it's lacking, in my opinion, and for my taste, a little bit of compression. So if you add a compressor to this amp, which I don't have here, I think that would really make a difference, because I feel like if I'm striking the strings a little too hard, it's going to get a little sharp, you know. It's very responsive and touch sensitive, so that's cool. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with an amplifier because you got to put a compressor in front of it. In fact, probably 80% of the clean channels out there I would use a compressor on, so it's fine. So I think it's a decent clean channel. Not my favorite, but it's decent. You know, I mean, there's definitely some clean channels out there that are absolutely horrendous, and this is not one of them. So I would put it somewhere in the middle as far as, you know, you got horrible and you have amazing. I would put this clean channel somewhere in the middle. But the thing is most people buy this amp for the high gain channels. So let's switch over to the rhythm channel now. Okay, well that's all the gain that channel has. I even have the edge switch engaged, and I tried the shift, and I liked it because it brought it a little more forward, but I just turned it on and off to show you what that sounded like. I have it off now, and the boost is on, which gave it, you know, all the gain that it's got really, because you know, without it, it's just pretty much like a clean channel or edge of breakup channel. So as soon as I hit the boost, the gain came on, and then with the edge, it gave it, I think, another gain stage. Again, I've never played this amplifier before, so you're just going to watch me stumble through it and try to figure it out. So this is as nasty as I can get this channel right now without the overdrive. So let's engage the mud killer now and see what happens. You won't see the mud killer appear on the screen when I turn it on, because when I switch to the amp, the mud killer will be, you know, in front of it, and it looks goofy. So just trust me, the mud killer is on, and let's go see if we can dial it in some more. All right, so even with the overdrive, I don't know. It's not a lot of gain, not a lot of compression, not a lot of saturation and aggression. You know, it's kind of flat and dry, to be honest with you. Now, there are people who like a flat and dry amplifier, and I get that, you know, but for me so far, this channel wouldn't be a usable one for me, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't like it, you know? So my opinion is just my opinion, you know? So I've always wanted to try one of these amplifiers. By the way, this is a KT88 loaded amp. So yeah, I've always wanted to try one of these because everybody talks about how legendary they are and this and that. So far, I mean, it's okay. And again, I can see why other people would like it, but this channel, I would not use. I just wouldn't. It just doesn't work for what I do. You know, I do metal. I mean, look at what I'm surrounded by. I'm surrounded by freaking beasts. You know, every one of these amps are just breathing fire as soon as you turn them on. Yeah, so far this is kind of like a little campfire compared to the forest fires that are around me, you know, as far as how much gain and aggression they have, you know. I mean, it's just yeah, huge difference. But let's go over to the lead channel now. And you know what? I'm just going to keep well, I'll turn the overdrive pedal off just for giggles, because there's always somebody, why didn't you leave the overdrive pedal off? So I'll switch over to the lead channel now and see, you know, see how much fire that channel breathes. All right, so that's as much fire as that channel is going to breathe, so I definitely need to engage the boost on that. So I'm going to turn on the mud killer and see, you know, if I can kick this thing into a gear that'll work for me or not. So let's find out. All right, well, I'm kind of struggling with this amp a little bit, to be honest with you. I've hit all the switches and turned all the knobs, and I'm boosting it right now. So let me play a couple more riffs on it and see if I can find a way to get along with this amplifier. Let me try to play some leads through it and just see how that sounds and feels. Okay, so to be fair, I didn't have a ton of time with this amp, you know, because I got to get it back to the store. I've always wanted to try one of these, and I do see why there's people out there who like this amplifier. That said, my honest opinion about it is the clean channel is a bit lacking. It just doesn't have that nice, warm, chimey thing that I'm looking for. All right, I need to interrupt myself. I'm in editing mode on this video right now, and I'm watching my talking points, and I'm like, I am being way, way too generous and too kind to this amplifier. I'm just gonna give you my unfiltered opinion about this amplifier with zero sugarcoating. So before I do that, let me just say this. If you own this particular amplifier and you like it, then I'm happy that you found what works for you. But don't attach your identity to this amplifier or any other piece of gear that you own. Because as soon as you do that, anytime anybody has anything to say about that piece of gear that's negative, you take it as a personal insult directed at you. Not everybody's gonna like everything. That's why there's tons of different gear out there on the market, because there's tons of different players with different tastes, and we all like different stuff. So these are just my opinions, and they're based on many years of experience playing different amplifiers, including every single one of these amplifiers that you see on the shelves behind me and all the other gear that I've demoed on the show. So here's what I'm going to say about this particular version of the VHT Pitbull that I played in this episode. The clean channel sounds really freaking weird. I don't like the frequencies that are coming out of it. I tried everything. I turned all the knobs in all the different directions, and I could not get a good sound out of it. Is it absolutely terrible? No, but it's not a clean channel that I would ever use. I mean, I've heard worse, but I've definitely heard a lot better. It's got this weird, cold, dark, and harsh thing to it. I can't really describe it any other way. And if you play it any harder than a light touch, the notes just jump out too hard, and it's just like lightning bolts to your eardrums. It's terrible. Even if you dress it up with some effects, it still just doesn't sound all that good. A compressor would help it, but I don't think it would make it great. It would just help it, you know, to not sound bad, but it wouldn't make it sound any better, if that makes sense. So the clean channel is pretty much a fail, in my opinion. I would never use it. So on a 1 to 10 scale, I'd probably give it maybe a 3 or a 4. Now the rhythm channel is complete flyover country for me. I would never use it. It's lifeless, it's dull, it's flubby and fuzzy. So the low end is really unresponsive and terrible, and it's not tight at all. And the top end is fuzzy. It's like this weird fuzzy, not fizzy, but fuzzy sound. It's just strange. I would never use it. Even when I boosted it with an overdrive pedal, it didn't get aggressive. It tightened up a little bit, but it still felt like complete crap to play. It was unresponsive. It's about as responsive as a screaming fat kid in the grocery store who didn't get his way, and now his mom's got to drag his fat ass all over the store, kicking and screaming and driving everybody nuts. That's about as responsive as that channel is, and it's about as annoying as that channel is to play as well. I could definitely see why they put an EQ in this amp in later models, because it is in dire need of one. It's so lifeless and dull and uninspiring to play. The only thing this amplifier was inspiring me to do while I was playing through the rhythm channel was to turn it off and drop kick it out of my basement. I have never played a more dull, uninspiring, lifeless, sluggish channel in my entire life. This amplifier really reminds me of what a Mesa Mark series sounds like with the EQ disengaged. It's just got that really small, boxy AM radio type sound to it, you know, but it actually sounds worse than that. I think an EQ would improve it, but I don't think it would fix it. I think it would still be dry, dull, and lifeless, but just with a better overall EQ. Now, I was hoping that as soon as I switched over to the lead channel that this amp would come alive and breathe a lot of fire and redeem itself, but it was pretty much a twin sister of the rhythm channel with maybe a little bit more gain, and it was still just as sluggish, lifeless, uninspiring, tasteless, and it had the same amount of lack of character that the rhythm channel had. I mean, there's just no texture or life to this amplifier at all. It's just freaking terrible. I can't put it in any other words, you know? I mean, and I just can't believe that people paid like a lot of money for these amps when they first came out. It just doesn't sound good at all. There's no redeeming qualities about this amplifier at all. I would never play this amplifier for any reason ever. I would not spend $2 on this amplifier, let alone $2,000. Maybe it's built well, maybe there's some pretty good components in it, I don't know, but there's not an amp on my shelves behind me that wouldn't just absolutely destroy this amplifier, including the Iconic. Yeah, I said it, including the Iconic. And the MT-15. The MT-15 would decimate the VHT Pitbull. It really would. It wouldn't even be a contest. And I know to some of you this is sacrilege, but I don't care. I'm going to speak my mind on my channel. I'm always going to be honest with you guys. And sometimes, like today, I'm going to be brutally honest because I really want to steer you away from this amplifier. I'd hate to see you waste your money on this thing and completely regret it. I don't even see how this amp would stand out in the mix very well. Now, I know there's going to be comments from people going, well, so-and-so from such and such band uses it. Well, good for so-and-so and such band. I'm so happy for them. Good for them. But I would never use this. And here's the other thing. There's a reason why I think you don't see a lot of these being played by famous musicians. It's because they're not very good. They're just not. And I know that some of you, as soon as you hear me say this, are going to post like, you know, 10 obscure bands that play this amplifier, and good for you. Go ahead and post that stuff. I feel sorry for those guitar players. I really do. Because there are definitely much better choices out there than this version of the VHT Pitbull. You know, I've waited a long time to try one of these amplifiers out, and there's so much hype about them. Like, oh, everyone's like, oh, there's nothing better than these amps, and oh, they're amazing, and they're so unique. Well, I'll give you that. They're definitely unique. They're uniquely terrible. I mean, sorry, you know, I mean, if I'm offending you, I'm not here trying to offend you. I'm just giving you my opinion. And if that offends you, then that means that your identity is attached to your VHT Pitbull amp, and it shouldn't be. Because if you really believe in your amplifier and you think that it's amazing, then my opinion shouldn't offend you at all. You could go ahead and think I'm nuts, but I won't be offended by you thinking I'm nuts because I'm very sure in what I'm saying, because I've had a lot of experience with all these amplifiers that I have here on the shelves and all the amplifiers that I've tried out on this channel over the last few years. And based on that experience, I can guarantee you this, that like I said earlier, and I'll say it again because I'm that confident in this, any amplifier on these shelves right now would absolutely kick that VHT Pitbull's ass easily. It would not even be a contest. I mean, on tone and feel, they would just sound better and be way more responsive to play, and they would definitely get along better with the overdrive pedal as well. I kept hearing all this stuff about like, oh, these amps are so dry and they're so tight and responsive that you don't need an overdrive pedal and stuff like that. Well, that wasn't the case with this amplifier at all. It was sluggish, unresponsive, and it was extremely uninspiring to play. I had hardly any reaction and response out of it. Even when I was playing my solos, could I play through it? Yeah, but I had to drag it kicking and screaming through every single note that I played through it, and that's not fun. And there also has to be a fun factor with amplifiers, right? I mean, you want a great interaction with your amp and have a lot of fun playing through it, be really inspired and stuff like that. So I think that the whole inspiration thing and fun factor are all kind of wrapped up in one. So if I was to score this amplifier 1 to 10 for inspiration and fun factor, I'd give it a negative 100. I mean, it was that uninspiring and that much not fun to play. It was about as fun as a root canal to play. I mean, I'm not kidding you. It was awful. Now, I know a lot of you guys watching this right now are probably thinking I've lost my marbles because you've heard all these great things about these amplifiers, but I'm telling you, I played it and I did not like it at all. There was nothing about this amplifier that I liked. In fact, the only thing I like about it is the fact that it's not in my studio anymore. So if you own one of these and you like it, again, good for you. I'm glad that you found what works for you. And I'm not being snarky by saying that because we all like different stuff and I totally respect that. But you might want to consider comparing it to some other amplifiers just to make sure. I mean, it might do you some good to do a little exploring and making sure that this is the right amplifier for you. The only reason why I would play through one again is A, if it had the EQ in it, and B, just to make sure that the one that I played in this episode wasn't just a one-off kind of bad one or something like that, like there was something wrong with it. But everything was in good working order on it. So I'm pretty sure that everything's fine with the amplifier. I think that it just sucks. It's just the way it is, you know. Sorry, not sorry. But anyways, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And to all my subscribers and Patreon supporters, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please do and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I either go live or come out with a new episode. Well, I got a lot more stuff coming up for you guys, and hopefully the next one won't be so negative. I'll see you on the next one.